Natasha, and I'm going to teach you a few tools using astrology that help you become more aware of yourself and the people around you, and be a little bit more empathetic that everyone has their own struggles and their own path in this lifetime, and that's what makes the world a beautiful place. So today I'm going to talk about Saturn in Cancer, or Saturn in the fourth house. So I know only a few people who have Saturn in the fourth house or Saturn in Cancer. These people felt like growing up, at least if it was in your fourth house, that your parents were very strict and rigid with you and kind of forced you to do things you didn't really want to do. So you're held accountable or very responsible in the home. It's like putting a dash of Capricorn energy in the home. So when you think about putting a little dash of Capricorn energy into Cancer or the fourth house of home and family, it can kind of bring a little bit of a coldness to the home, or feelings and emotions, like you had parents that were kind of just a little bit cold or just tough on you because they knew that, it was for your own good, or maybe you just happened to be a child who was just kind of all over the place and very like, I want this and don't think about it or whatever, and just happened to be that your parents had to try and kind of morph you a little bit into being a little bit more responsible than you naturally were. So it might have felt like you're having to be way more responsible or kind of held back or set back when you didn't want to be. I actually noticed Saturn being in the fourth house or in Cancer with people who had sun signs in Aries, at least so far. So you can think about the archetype of Aries and how that person naturally is. And if you had responsible parents and they're like, oh my god, my kid is like so all over the place, crawling all over the place, or changing their mind all the time, like, I want to do this and I'm gonna stick with it, mom and dad. And then a month later they change their mind and they're like, I want to do this. And so your parents are like, no, you can only just pick one thing, or like stick with it, because I'm so sick of buying all the outfits for every single sport. Like, we can't do this. You need to pick which one that you really want and you're going to stick with it. You can't change this all over the time. So that's just an example of how Saturn in Cancer or Saturn in the fourth house can kind of play out, and you might see why. So you always have to look at both sides when it comes to any kind of relationships. But you're going to feel like someone is restricting you or holding you back, making you do things like the long way, the hard, grudging way, and not like fast and abrupt that you might want it to play out as. So Saturn and Cancer can also feel like, you're being kind of mean to like the emotions, or being kind of cruel or cold, or very like hard, like a strict teacher to someone who is very emotional and caring and very like passionate about something. It puts an example of how Saturn in Cancer or Saturn in the fourth house can kind of play out, and you might see why. So you always have to look at both sides when it comes to any kind of relationships. But you're going to feel like someone is restricting you or holding you back, making you do things like the long way, the hard, grudging way, and not like fast and abrupt that you might want it to play out as. So Saturn and Cancer can also feel like, you're being kind of mean to like the emotions, or being kind of cruel or cold, or very like hard, like a strict teacher to someone who is very emotional and caring and very like passionate about something. Restriction on maybe passionate emotions to go off and do something new, or puts restriction and responsibility, and like, hey, I'm going to go start a new business, and the person just thought about it like for 1 week and not really think about the long-term consequences, about everything that goes about kind of creating that business, like the legal aspects, the funding, is it realistic, is there a need for it, um, not only do you work hard at it, is there a talent or ability there to, make it worthwhile? Because Saturn is going to make you really think about the long term, because Capricorn energy thinks about long term investments, and if the investment is worth it, they will work hard for it. Saturn being the fourth house can also mean setbacks and restrictions in kind of creating your own family. Maybe you don't get your own family, like get married and have kids until a little bit later in life. That can be a possibility. It brings a lot of discipline in the home. So that person can be really responsible when it comes to household things or family matters, very fair, and balanced or responsible when it comes to the duties of the family and children and the household. Um, I can't say fair all the time because it depends on everyone. Everyone has a choice, and there's other placements going on in the chart that maybe the person is not that fair or whatever. There's lessons to be learned in the home and family. That could be another one. Overall, Saturn being in Cancer or the fourth house is just bringing restriction, delays, responsibility, duty, slow growth, slow progress in consideration to emotions, because that is Cancer, and the home and the family. So anything with that kind of combo can play out for this person, and it won't really ease up until around the age of 40. But this person could have kind of grown up if it was especially in the fourth house, maybe a different sign. But Saturn being put into the fourth house, probably they grew up with more restriction or responsibilities or strict parents, or one or both of the parents were kind of strict. So that is my interpretation of Saturn in Cancer, Saturn in the fourth house. Okay, bye.